Community Voice. Happy Tuesday. And I wanted to thank you for being with us. Chase Chambers from ShotSpot, proud sponsor of this station, is here with us. And Atlas the Wonder Dog. Let's just get that out.
Yes, ma'am. It's me and my dog Atlas here. We're happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Atlas, what do you have to say? Now, Atlas doesn't have opposable thumbs. So our topic today, which is ShotSpot and guns,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Won't really apply to Atlas.
Well, he's pretty tough. He's good at pistol shooting. He's not a very good rifle shooter.
And he has his opinions.
That's right.
Okay, so tell us, first of all, I want to ask you a question. This is a listener who's been asking me to ask you for a while. What is an assault weapon? You know, we keep hearing about, well, we should have assault weapon bans.
Oh, an assault weapon?
Yeah.
That pencil right there is an assault weapon. You see what I mean?
Yes.
If
We're on Facebook Live,
if
by
I
the way,
assault you with
everybody.
that, it's an assault pencil.
And
That's
you
the
would
way I
see it
look
on
at it.
Facebook Live.
Please don't hurt me.
So I'm wielding an assault weapon at you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's just a nothing.
It is. It's a made-up term that stemmed from a company that had the initials AR, which some people have identified that as an assault rifle, but it just means Armalite Rifle Company.
Armalite.
Armalite.
Oh,
Rifle Company.
Armalite.
Yes. So they confused the acronym for AR-15. Armalite 15 rifle. It was the 15th patent for assault rifle.
I don't think I really want to give them they who want to repeal the Second Amendment. I'm not going to give them credit for mistaking. You know, I just think that it's a great.
Well, an intentional mistake.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
put it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So look, we have. Let's go over the Second Amendment a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to play devil's advocate with you. And we're going to have an argument until you say when or Atlas starts shrugging. Oh,
Yeah.
Did you get that? An Ayn Rand joke? Did you get that? Dang,
Oh, I
I'm
love
good.
that.
You like
Yes,
that?
yes.
Thank you so much.
He shrugged when you said that.
Did he really?
Yes.
He's so smart. Anyway, here's the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, comma, and I guess the commas mean something in this debate, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, another comma, shall not be infringed. I object to that last comma, but anyway, help us unpack the whole a well-regulated militia, because anti-Second Amendment activists say we have a well-regulated militia.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. In 1776, that was muskets, right? Mm-hmm. Because that was the level playing field. And that's what you needed. And in today's world, it's a little bit more complicated. I guess technology's improved, which means, the technology with guns, maybe it's improved the efficiency of it a little bit. But the whole point of it is so you can defend yourself against tyranny, right?
Yes.
And a government that's trying to take away the rest of your constitutional rights. Because if somebody comes to you and says, hey, you don't have the freedom of speech anymore, like you can't be here on the radio and give your opinion, how would you defend yourself against that if they walk in here with a rifle and you just have your assault pencil? Would you write them a letter, an assault letter?
I would write them a very strongly worded letter, and that would bring them to their knees. Yeah, you're right. And it seems to me that this is happening in the world. I mean, we see what happens in England. Have you been keeping up with?
I've kept up some, and I see that the mayor of England started a real heavy campaign against knife-wielding pedestrians. Because people were being injured and killed with knives because they had no other means to attack each other. Like, this is more of the daylight type robbery, not the criminals. So people were being injured with knives.
Because guns were banned.
That's right. But they still have a very high, I may be mistaken by the numbers, but by the population per capita, people are still being killed with guns at a high rate.
Yeah, I think I heard last week that.
Excuse me, pollen's killing me.
No, it's great radio anyway. Pollen keeps you real. I heard that.
Sound tough.
You're so tough. How's Atlas doing? Okay, there he is.
He is chewing on his leash.
We're gonna have to have him wave to the camera for
He will.
Facebook Live. Okay. So anyway, I heard London has now exceeded New York in its per capita violent crime, and they're not allowed to have guns. Even the cops don't have guns.
Okay, that's interesting because New York's a dangerous place.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
I know crime's not getting any better there, so that doesn't mean that New York's becoming a safer place. It just means that London's becoming more dangerous.
Right.
That'd be my guess on that.
And this in the face of an absolute gun ban. A good friend of mine who lives in England her husband had a gun, but he had to, and because he's had it forever and ever, and he has to keep it locked in a cabinet at all times. If he were to have it outside the cabinet, and let's say there was a raid of the home, somebody was, what do you call those home? Well, somebody came in and wanted to do harm, a home invasion. That was the word.
Oh yeah, home invasion.
Right, and if he were to have used that gun to stop the invasion, he would be prosecuted for intention to kill because he had the gun out and available. And you're stymied. You can't. It's hard to tell. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, that's hard for me to wrap my mind around. But I guess that's what happens when you fall into that hole, when you allow people to take away your rights. Not to say that it's the person's fault that had a perpetrator come into his house, but when you let somebody take your rights away, that you're just a victim you're helpless. You can't do anything about it, and they're helpless.
They're helpless, and it's up to the cops or the bobbies, as they say,
and their billy stick.
And their billy stick. Yeah, it's up to them to decide what crimes they want to investigate or pursue. So I don't think that having gun bans in England is working very well, at least in the big, there's Manchester, London, and there's a couple of other places that,
like Wales, Dutch, or somewhere maybe.
Yeah, Scotland, obviously, yeah. Glasgow. It's not working. So, but now we hear actual Americans say they want to repeal the Second Amendment and that it would be best to do so. What are your thoughts?
My first thought is they have that right. That's their, that's their First Amendment right to have that opinion, which I don't agree with it whatsoever. I think it's completely invalid. I think that gun rights that's a core principle in our society. Mm-hmm. I was raised with handling guns, so I know how to properly do that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my dog's barking. Shit.
Atlas has an opinion.
He's very pro Second Amendment,
and that's pretty good. Excited. Yeah, he is getting excited. Look at him. Where did you get him? He's great. I'm glad that we're on Facebook Live so our listeners can hear.
One of my friends, Kim Madliak, you may know her. She and her husband fostered this dog and said, "Chase, please come take him." So I happily took him.
That's very kind of you. You're an old softie. You're a gun-wielding softie.
Well, he's a mean dog, so he gets along fine with me.
Is he really mean?
No.
All right, that's good.
But no, I don't agree personally with the opinion that the Second Amendment should be taken away or is invalid.
There was a New York Times op-ed late last year that starts with the statement, "I have never understood the conservative fetish for the Second Amendment." That's kind of insulting, don't you think?
I think it is insulting because he's probably not been in situations to where he needed to defend himself. And obviously he doesn't understand that as soon as he gives his rights away, he can never get them back.
His argument, however, is that from a law and order standpoint, more guns means more murder.
Well, no, studies have proven that's not true.
It can't be true.
It's not true because the places that guns are already illegal are some of the highest crime rate.
Like Detroit, Chicago
specifically.
New York City.
New York City is pretty high, yes. Even like excuse me, the outer areas of Los Angeles going south and the Santa Fe Springs and places like that, that's very high crime rate. And you're not supposed to have guns in these places. You can look at California and say it's a microcosm of what they want to do. Murder's not gone down. They're sending more people to Alcatraz. I know it's not there anymore, but they're taking people to prison every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you even have to have a waiting period to buy ammo in California now.
Yes, and you're starting to have to, I think, pay higher taxes. They're levying like taxes on top of all of the anything associated with guns.
Yeah, well, California and taxes, they're best friends ever.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Well, on that happy note, and thank you, Atlas, for the reminder. It's time for us to he insists that it's time for us to take a break. We're going to hear from Tanner Health System.
He runs the show, I guess.
He's running the show today. And so we'll be back in 60 seconds. Stick around, everyone.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
And we're back, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. We're talking to Chase Chambers today. Chase, what do you do over at ShotSpot?
What I do is I handle our wholesale business. We bring in product from a variety of manufacturers from across the country, and some of those are imported, some of those are produced vertically at the locations of the manufacturer, and we take those and we redistribute it to the market. So we have a wholesale distribution business, and that's my personal responsibility.
Okay. You're the guy that does that?
Yeah, I have a title and all that good
What
stuff.
is it? Is it king of
It
the
is,
wholesale?
National Sales Manager.
And grand poobah.
Exactly.
Well, no wonder you have to have Atlas the Wonder Dog with you at all times.
He's my comfort dog. He keeps my stress level low.
Your comfort doggy dog. Yeah, he's beautiful. He's actually Camera Hog. We are on Facebook Live, News Talk 1330. So if you want to see Atlas, he's quite beautiful. Does he have a middle name?
No.
Okay.
You can name him right now. His middle name.
Harvey, after my grandson, Atlas
Okay.
Harvey.
Atlas Harvey.
Atlas
I
Harvey
like that.
Chambers.
It sounds very, very sophisticated.
Okay, good. Atlas Harvey. Hey, that's cool. And it happened here. Okay.
Is that the camera?
Can we see him, Joel? This is unprecedented. Mr. Producer, has this ever happened before in the history of this show? Oh, no. Okay, yeah. No.
Hey, we're breaking down barriers this morning.
We sure are. And we're
That
talking
was-
about, speaking of which, I'm trying to make a segue to our topic, but this is just like one of the most awkward ones ever. But
Well, you and I get together and we have too much fun.
We do.
so
That's the problem.
That's us.
it's just us. Okay, so we're talking about, obviously, ShotSpot. You know, you guys are so much fun to go visit, by the way.
Well, thank you.
This
It's
is an
fun.
unpaid endorsement. That, but feel free to,
Yeah. Well, I've been
reward
there-
me sometime for this.
Well,
but-
no, I've been there since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like I guess, the first person that was hired by John. One of
Really?
the first, if not the
John
first.
Hawk?
And we did our own, or John did his own construction, so I'm pretty familiar with the ins and outs of it. And it's fun, even being involved, like day to day. Like when that's your job, it's still enjoyable. And working for John's like that too.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. And Jane is great.
Well, Jane, yeah, she was fantastic. She helped us through the first couple of years, and then she wanted to go work for herself, and she's doing some of her own ventures.
Well, she got my comfort levels right to where they needed to be. When you guys first opened, I had never shot a gun in my life, and never intended to.
Yeah, well, I've seen you now, so I know that you're
Pew,
good.
Pew pew.
I wouldn't want to be running from you. You know what I mean?
Well, but it is real. It's nothing to be taken lightly. It's a real. There's an explosion going on.
Well, it's a very serious activity.
It certainly
so
is.
It's meant to be taken very seriously. You don't want to not pay attention.
That's right. But I wanted my learning curve to be really steep, because if you're going to go down that road and decide to have some firearms for your protection, you need to know how to use them. And it's, for me, it was just I felt as though I'd been in a car crash the first few times. My body felt traumatized.
well,
Is
like
that
you
bad
said-
for your business that I said that?
Well, no, that's part of it. It's a controlled explosion that's been contained within your hands and within inside of that gun. So some people would say that it's almost traumatic, because if you've never been exposed to it, you've never been exposed to it. That's why we have safety officers, and that's why we have trained professional people that can show you how to do that. Range safety officers and instructors.
And they are fantastic. They are so helpful. These guys a lot of them are retired military, are they?
Many are law enforcement military,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of those guys, one for instance, taught instruction in the Air Force. So he taught
Firearm
Bill
instruction?
Sims. Yeah, he's brilliant.
He is great.
If you know Bill, you know he is absolutely. But
And he
he
makes it
taught
so
10
easy.
to 20,000 people in the Air Force how to shoot. Colonels. He was teaching colonels how to shoot a gun.
And that's who we have at ShotSpot to help
Yes.
it. I mean, you'd be learning from the best. And it's not as, you can take those lessons, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you can also just go and buy yourself a target and, just sort of fire away until your body
You
says
can
stop.
walk in there and bring a gun and some ammo and rent a lane and just knock it out.
But I'm always asking Bill, and there are a couple of other really great guys whose names escape me right now. But everybody at ShotSpot is really nice, and all I have to do is ask them, how do I do this? How can I make this go boom? And they're really patient with you, and they can stand behind me and see why I always miss to the I'm sort of down and to the left of where I'm aiming, and they can diagnose that problem right away and show me how to correct it. And it's just they do so much to raise my comfort level.
Well, it's like, do you enjoy being on the radio?
Yeah, but it's scary sometimes.
Well, that's like the range officers. They absolutely enjoy it. They love it. So their passion comes through, and it shows in what they do. So that's one way that we hire the people, the guys, is we're just like, okay, if this is something that you enjoy doing and you're proficient at it, then you'll fit in perfectly.
Mm-hmm. I guess I have a lot in common with those guys because we both have such dangerously thrilling jobs.
I'm scared over here. I can't get away from it.
And Atlas Harvey is pretty scared too. Okay, so we were talking about the national conversations about the Second Amendment. I guess the latest one arose from that terrible shooting in Florida. I bet you guys have an opinion at ShotSpot about what happened there.
I think that it's a tragic event. That's very horrible.
To say the least.
I'm trying to remember the county that was in. I can't think of it. It starts with an M. It's you could chalk it up to many different things.
Yeah, and the very least of the things is the gun itself. In fact, that's at the bottom of the list of what happened or what led to that terrible shooting.
Yes. See, from my understanding, at that county school in Florida, they had some provisions set in place, security, police, and a couple of those security points didn't succeed in doing their job.
Cops were staying outside and they didn't go in.
That's what I'm referring to, something like that. And I don't know exactly what happened. I don't want to, misquote anybody, but so if everybody does what they're supposed to do, and there is security involved in selling guns, so that not everybody can just walk in and buy a gun. That's a common misnomer, that you can just walk into a gas station, into an Exxon, and buy yourself an assault pencil rifle gun.
I'd like some beef jerky and an assault weapon.
A six-pack.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, you hear these terms, gun show loopholes. That's not true.
No, everybody's held to the same standard letter of the law.
I can't believe how just patently untrue that is, and yet you hear that being cited as one of the nefarious outcomes of the Second Amendment, which we obviously, if we were going to be more enlightened, should repeal.
Yeah. And see, I'll walk you through the actual process of what they mean by the gun show sales. When you purchase a gun, you either have a concealed carry license, which I'm pretty sure you have one.
Yeah, and you have to do fingerprints, and you have to do a background check, FBI background check.
I believe it's GBI.
Oh, GBI, right.
Yeah, but
GBI.
you go to the probate court, and here in Carroll County, Betty Cason orchestrates it all, and background check, fingerprints. So
it's not like you could just go in.
Yeah, they clear that you're safe. They deem you safe to purchase a handgun or a rifle without a background check, because they look into your history. And if you don't have one of those, then you actually have to go through an FBI, what's called an NCIS check, so that they plug your information in. It could take up to 5 days. It could take if it's somebody that, say Jeff May, one of our guys, our range officers, who's actually, a really high law enforcement guy. Like, he walks in there, obviously his background's clean,
right.
so he's going to go through instantly. And the same thing happens at gun shows. If they call in the NICS and they say, hey, can Chase Chambers buy a gun? And they're like, absolutely not, he's a felon. Or they say, maybe, we'll wait 5 days. Or they say, yes, he can buy it. So you have to do that, yes.
I mean, so anyone who says that there's gun show loopholes, they just don't know what the heck they're talking about.
If there's a criminal out there selling guns illegally, that's a different story. But that means they're breaking the law, which obviously, if you put in more laws, it's not going to let everybody follow the law. So that's just one more way of me thinking, hey, if they're going to break the law already, how are you going to stop them from breaking it if you just write more law into effect?
Which brings me back to our discussion about England that has a gun ban. And so, fine, scimitars, machetes, sabers, acid attacks.
Yeah, go across the channel, a Ford truck, a 1-ton truck.
Yeah.
In France, you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I sure do. And I was just thinking about, I was trying to remember the bridge, Westminster Bridge. How many people, these guys rented some trucks or
I
rented
think
a
it was
big
like
old Jeep.
86 people or something. It was something outrageous.
It was crazy, injured. So, all right. So on yet another happy note, we're going to go to a break right now and hear again from our sponsor, Tanner Health System. And when we get back, we'll be wrapping up our conversation with Chase Chambers from Hotspot. So stick around.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Lori Wilson with Chase Chambers from Hotspot. I'm sorry, I got all distracted because I was showing him pictures of Harvey.
He was absolutely a cute kid. He's
Thank
2
you.
years old. He's adorable.
Yeah, he's adorable, and we just named Atlas after him. So, a lot happens on these shows. You miss a lot if you miss a community voice.
It's very official.
A listener wants to ask you, this is an important question. Is Atlas an assault dog?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, how do you have to put him away and put him in a locked container when there are kids around, or what?
That's hilarious. Well, he will assault your couch leg. He will assault tennis balls, and he will assault. I don't know. He'll assault your food if you're eating, and,
Okay.
and you walk away. But other than that, he's pretty much a normal dog.
Okay, good. All right. Well, that's a relief to all of us.
Okay.
Now, we only have about 7 minutes left, so I thought that it would be fun to talk about campus carry, which is a bill that, or a law that passed, how long ago? A couple of years?
Absolutely important. Absolutely.
I agree. I kind of liked walking onto campus and there'd be a sign that says, this is a concealed carry campus.
Well, I'm going to hit on something real fast. I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
you,
no,
but
go.
How many of the shootings that have occurred in the last year, the last 10 years, have happened in gun-free zones?
Let me
95
yeah.
to 100% of those?
Yeah, because they may be criminals, but they're not stupid.
Well, yeah, it encourages somebody to go into an arena that's much easier to win.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, you go right, exactly. So if you don't know if you know for sure that no guns are allowed in, let's say, this theater or this campus.
If you're going to cowardly go shoot up something, you're going to be as strategically coward about it as possible.
Right.
And that just makes it that much easier for somebody to do something like that.
Having said that, campus carry has some problems.
Yes, it does. And I'm going to say something. From my understanding, you can't take it within the staff offices, the personnel of the office. Is that right?
Okay, here's how I understand it. You can take it with you. So you have a gun on you. You're not allowed to have them in classrooms in which there are move on when ready students. That is high school students.
Okay.
Okay.
They
However,
don't deserve to be protected like the 18-year-old students.
Well,
I understand that completely.
I'm not even sure why that is the thing, but here's another beautiful side note. You're not allowed to ask your students directly who is a move on when ready student. That's a violation of these students' privacy. So as a professor, you can't go in and go, hey, do I have any move on when ready students here? No, you get in trouble for that. So you can carry in a classroom as long as you don't have a move on when ready, but you're not allowed to ask or find out unless the student.
So you're not allowed to carry in places that you don't know where they are.
Or maybe you could just plead ignorance because you're not allowed to ask. I don't know.
I got a speeding ticket the other day, and I said, I did not know that I was going 37 over in a 35. And he said, ignorance is no.
Yeah. Did you really?
No, I didn't really. But
Okay,
he
but that's
said-
a great metaphor for that. It's a great simile.
Okay.
Okay, you're not allowed to have a gun. You can have a gun in your office, but not in any place in which you're likely to have a strained, or let's say not combative. I never yell at students, and they never yell at me, but
some sort of disgruntled
some
student.
sort of disgruntled student. You're not allowed to have a gun there. So, okay, you're not allowed to have them in the dorms. That kind of makes sense to me.
Well, most of if it's a handgun, you're not old enough to be.
Yeah.
If you shouldn't be in a dorm if you're old enough to have a gun.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
yeah, I know. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of. You can tell that it was a bill that made it through committee, but not without having all kinds of riders and provisos, and so if you were to hold to the letter of that campus carry law, you'd be running back and forth to your car all the time. Oh, I'm leaving my office and I'm going into this classroom where I accidentally know there's a Move On When Ready student. So
Exactly.
So anyway, it was so we have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
I want you to spend them talking about whatever you want to, because
Okay, so he's 43 pounds. No, I'm just
his
kidding.
middle name is Harvey. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that, okay, I'm going to hit on what you were just saying. I have a good friend. If he's listening, he knows exactly who he is. He's a professor at the University of West Georgia.
Oh, we better not
he
tell him.
needs to come on here and be on the show.
What does his
one day.
name rhyme with?
Hurton.
Okay. Okay.
So he's a great guy.
Hurting for certain.
Yes. If you act up in his class, you'll be hurting. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
So he's a great guy, and he's told me something about the campus carry, and he's basically said that it's impossible to follow and abide by the rules.
That's right.
So if you write bad legislation, it's no better than having really bad or no legislation. I guess it's better than having no, because none's better.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that means that's what we're looking for
right.
in a nutshell.
Well, it's kind of it legalized campus carry, but made it impossible to.
Okay, and I think Governor Dill was the one who kind of shut that down, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it to his desk, and he struck it down because he said that he didn't like this, and that. And I think that's where the what did you call the students who were under 18?
Move on when ready.
The Move On When Ready, the high school students. He added that provision to it.
That one just stymies me, because I'm not really sure why. I mean, if they're old enough to go to a campus, I can't figure out why their very presence in a classroom would prevent you from being a responsible carrier. I don't know.
You're smart enough to be there, but you're not smart enough to fully commit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and what you said, well, it's not like, what are they going to do? Rush the professor who may or may not be carrying I don't know. I don't get that.
I don't know.
So So I think the takeaway is that we're still really skittish as a country about the Second Amendment. Where do you see it going? Have you thought about that?
Well, in today's world, I'm fairly confident that it's going to maintain, and we're going to keep growing in a positive manner. We're going to continue to teach safe gun practices, which is going to allow people to safely handle guns, which is going to eradicate the craziness, and
Demystify the whole thing.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
And the most important part of it is to make sure that people that that do not deserve to have guns, that are mentally unstable or have a past of violent abuse, they don't get guns. And I think that's where the whole problem lies.
Mm-hmm.
If you shouldn't have a gun, you shouldn't have a gun. As in, somebody that shot up a Ray, Colorado movie theater, he was obviously mentally sick. He didn't need a gun.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
If you follow the law protects everybody.
I have a listener who's telling me that I've been saying hotspot instead of shot spot. I don't think the listener's listening to me.
How dare you? Not the
shot
listener,
spot,
but you.
So yes, Chase Chambers from ShotSpot, proud sponsor of Graddick Communications, and we're always happy to have you in. And
Well, thank you.
Because we love here at Graddick Communications, we're kind of fond of the Second Amendment,
That's
First
right.
Amendment.
I know it took 8 or 9 months to get me booked in here.
It does,
I've
because
been
you're so busy. Yeah.
But it's worth the wait.
Thank you, and it's been worth it for us too. Everybody can watch this, and all your friends and Hurtin' for Certain can watch as well.
He's gonna kill me.
he might. Anyway, so thank you so much for being with us, everybody. I'll
thank
see
you
you
for
in
having me.
23 and a half hours. And Chase, you rock as always.
Well, thank you. Everybody come shoot ShotSpot.
All right, let's do it.